In 2017, I decided to dive my first wreck. This was to be the Salem Express. It lies in 32 metres of water. It was built by the French in 1966 as a roll-on, roll-off ferry for 142 cars and 650 passengers. The engine developed 14,880 brake horsepower, which is a huge amount by any standards. The captain of the ship was Captain Hussein Morrow. He'd been doing this route for about 3 years, and he found there was a shortcut to be had that trimmed 2 hours off. Now, he was the only chap who used this short route, and since this incident, it is illegal now to take this shortcut. It took 2 hours off the journey, but obviously a lot more off people's lives. His shortcut went past the Hindman reefs, and it was a particularly nasty gale, and as he was going along, the ship was blown onto the reef, and it made a big hole in the side, but also the jolt caused the sun visor, well not sun visor, but the visor, to burst open at the front of the ship, which immediately gave a huge gush of water. In fact, the gush was so fast that it just sank the ship within seconds, and they were not able to launch any life rafts whatsoever. And you will see some life rafts later on in this video. This ferry was overloaded. The guesstimates are there were about 1,000 passengers. Of those 1,000, 180 survived. The main reason for this was it went down so quickly they were not able to deploy the life rafts. The local people came out to help. The Egyptian Navy rescued as many people as they could who were still trapped in the vessel, and the local dive clubs offered their help, and apparently it was accepted. The Egyptian Navy found that it was too perilous to go any further down into the decks to remove people's bodies, so they sealed it all up, so you cannot access the lower decks, and it is also recommended not to move anything that's on the floors, people's possessions, what have you. You've got to respect this ship as it is a actual graveyard, as 90% of all shipwrecks are. As you can see, it's been a long time since it actually went down, but there's still a lot of people's belongings and things which I would have thought would have perished, but they haven't. So please don't touch any of these things if you do go along. It's very sad. It makes you really feel how terrible and frightening. Those people must have been in there very joyous, having just been to Mecca, and they were all coming back home with their families, and it hit this reef and it just flooded. It must have been absolutely horrific. When you get to the top of the ship, you can see the wooden decking quite clearly, and it's amazing how quickly the coral has started to grow on all these bits and pieces on the top, and it's quite eerie how you get all the bits of coral growing on the railings and what have you. And there's lots of little places you can poke your head into and have a good look around, and the lionfish protecting all these little nooks and crannies, which is great. Like little as you enter the dining room, you can see the pedestals sitting up where there would have been, I would guess, some sort of cheap plywood or something, which is long since gone. There are a couple of remnants, as you'll see, of the plywood or MDF or whatever it was, still on a couple of the tops. And you can see the lino tiles which adore the floor. It's quite spooky, but also you've got to be very careful you don't obviously cut open your BCD. But of course all of you will have SMV you can use for buoyancy, so there's no problems there. As I said before, this vessel went down extremely quickly with the gush of water through the main car deck, and they were not able to deploy the life rafts. And here you can see the life rafts that were not deployed, and obviously they were still attached to the boat and they went down, which really makes it we realise how dreadful, and the need for automatic deployment of life rafts in this type of situation. As you navigate along the bottom half of the ship, which is obviously the side, you come across some of the anchors, and this is one of them. And as you can see, the coral has grown on this marvellously. The colours are, as you can see, just amazing. And there's lots of little clams and little fish darting in and out, and it's really nice to take some photographs of this. So well worth a little visit to the anchor, as it were. And here we are up on the main deck, and this is the anchor control mechanism to drop things down. As you can see, the coral has really, blossomed on this, and it looks like this really would need a lot of further investigation as to nice macro photography. However, my camera is not that good, it's just a cheap GoPro. But here I think you could find lots of nice things to photograph, so this point is really worth having a good look at. Here up on the main deck as well, there's lots of little protrusions with lots of little interesting things which warrant lots of macro photography. So it is well worth having a scout round this vessel, finding these little places, and then making a plan to come back and spend some time setting up your camera and taking some nice photographs. I would suggest you bring a tripod with some weights to get some nice photographs here. I will next time I visit. Well worth having a good look here. In the helm of the ship, you come across interesting things like this fuse board, and it's all well rotted together. A lot of items in here have been salvaged by the salvage crews, such as the wheel that would have been used to steer the ship. As you can see here, it's pretty bare. It's obviously nice bits of wood and brass that would have complemented this, but it's interesting to see the mechanism and how it would have worked. Here we are, just about to enter one of the gangways that would have run down the side of the ship, and along these gangways there's a few little corals that have grown, and as you will see later, some anemone fish, and it's quite hard to get your bearings because obviously it's on its side, but you would be able to walk along these obviously. But it'll take you a little while to figure out what exactly is going on. As you can see up on the left there was lights to light the gangways during the night. One tip I will give you is don't follow too close up to the arse of your buddy, because he could kick off your mask. Although this didn't happen here, when I was looking at the video I thought, it could have done. But you always carry a spare mask anyway. This is the port side of the ship, and this is at about 10 to 12 meters. so it is accessible to all divers.
Orca, and lots of